You know, people ask me almost every day, hey Josh, if you were going to get a camper for your family with all the different brands that you see and all the things that you've seen on these things, what would you get? And I tell you what, despite all the snarky remarks I'm going to make in this video about this camper, this frankly is probably the kind of thing I would end up with putting my family in right now. We're a family, a household of 3. I don't get to camp a lot. I like to camp simple, basic, and easy. I like to be disconnected from the technology. I don't need heavy. I don't need flashy. I don't need fancy. I just need a camper. And that's exactly what they did here. In a marketplace in the RV industry right now, where every manufacturer and their brother is building a basic, budget-friendly bunkhouse that is not loaded with thrills and frills, Jayco came up with this revolutionary idea of coming out with a basic budget bunkhouse family camper with no thrills and frills that says Jayco on the side of it. And I think that's brilliant. I told you I was going to say a lot of snarky things. Here's the thing though. It does everything I need it to do. It doesn't do a single thing I don't need it to do. It's fully enclosed and hard-sided. I'm not worried about annoying tent walls. It still carries their 2+3 year warranty. I've got a front walk-around bed, which is a Camp Queen from the factory, but you could put a true queen in this. So I think that's one of the things that I appreciate about it. It has a sofa and a dinette instead of just a sofa or a dinette, which most things this size don't have. And speaking of size and weight and whatnot, it's only 6,000 pounds maximum GVW. It's like 4,300 pounds empty. So it actually has a reasonable cargo capacity, more so than some, quote, full-time fifth wheels that I've seen. And no, it doesn't have ceiling fans and fireplaces, and it doesn't have a privacy wall for the bedroom, and it doesn't have as many windows as some other things. But all of those factors are the reason why it's lighter weight, lighter on the price tag, and it still can camp your family. So if you're someone like me who just camps weekends, take a look at this thing. And this actually is the very first tandem axle member of the Jay Flight Sport family. So this is actually the most basic trim package, the most basic equipment package that they offer in the entirety of all the Jayco lineup, not just Jay Flight, but especially Jay Flight. And as we go through this video, it will become very easy at times to say, wow, they really cut that corner. They really chinsed out. They really. Remember, this was built purposely to be more basic. Jayco makes things that are more fancy equipped. Like you can take any of the normal SLX family and you can put their, I think it's called Elite package on it, and you can bulk them up. This is intentionally made to be simpler and just not as flashy or fancy. Just the facts, ma'am. That's what this camper is right here. So like you're not going to find a TV factory standard in here. And without a TV on that wall, it definitely looks a little bare bones and basic. But if you put a TV up there, it suddenly starts to make sense. Now here's the other thing. Because this is a wood-studded sidewall camper, it means that you could actually mount stuff on the walls pretty simply and easily. You just need a stud finder, hold it up to your chest. You say, yup, there's one. I indoctrinated my 14-year-old daughter into that joke last weekend. She rolled her eyes so hard. My job as a dad was done for the weekend. I cracked a cold Coors Light and I sat in my hammock and I just smiled. My duties were done. I like what they did here on the table. I actually like this a lot. They went with it brackets against the wall, so it's very sturdy, and it only has a single drop leg, so it's not the biggest knee knocker I've ever seen, but you also have that handy power outlet there. Now, campsite window coverage, it's not like this is amazing, but between the window and the door and over the dinette, it's not terrible. So I'm not unhappy about that. One thing that is worth noting, and I'll tell you the good with the bad, this RV does not have central air. You've got that direct dump Coleman Mach air unit up here. And it's part of the reason I think actually the bunks don't have curtains when we get back there. It's so that the bunks can actually stay cooler. Now, again, it's important to, like, you look at all this like, wow, again, they chinsed out. It's the same construction as all the other Jaycos. It's just basic equipment. Like the bunks that you haven't even seen yet still have a 600-pound rating, you know. They're still going all cloth touch with the max rating of effectively Scotch Guard, by the way. So you want to, you know, pop that down. They could have chinsed on that a little bit, but some people like the folding armrest. Some people do not. They still left little details like that in there. I really appreciate, I'm just noticing all the radius work that they have on this sofa right there. So you don't have a lot of sharp points jabbing you. Generally speaking, they're pretty good about that, except for the hanging wardrobe towers on either side of this front bed. But they're up high enough. I don't think you're going to jab yourself with them. Now, again, I want to be clear. This is a 60 by 74 short queen from the factory. But if you look at this RV, if you look at the space at the foot of the bed, there is space to put a 60 by 80 true queen bed in there. Now, the decking under the mattress won't be at the foot of the bed. So if you try to sit on it, you'll like slip off. I've done it. I've done it on camera, actually. But if you're just laying down and only your feet are on it, it'll be fine. That will work just fine. Household outlets on both sides of the bed. Only USB plugs over on the one side, though, I kind of noticed. And I haven't lifted up the bed yet. I'm a little curious what kind of bed storage solutions we have here. I'm actually super pleasantly surprised to see that they still left gas struts under this bed. I would have bet your paycheck that those were not going to be there. Notice how I was not willing to bet my paycheck. I wasn't that sure about it. But that's the big box down there for the microwave. I left that in for size. So nice big footlocker storage space in there. I almost would have expected them to leave that open face and to save a little money on the struts. But the daily function features, it looks like they still have here. That's nice. And flipping around the other direction, if you first walk into the RV and turn your head left, this is pretty much what you're going to see right here. Again, the inclusion of a sofa and dinette instead of sofa or dinette without a Murphy bed. It's kind of a cool. Oh my gosh! Now that I'm looking at this, I just realized what this floor plan is kind of like. It's sort of like a no slide bunkhouse version of like a Cougar 22 MLS or a Jay Flight 22 MLS or a Freedom Express 22 MLS. Everybody calls it a 22 MLS, I swear, or something very darn close to it. Although imagine 22 MLE being the originator, but maybe that's why I kind of like it, because that's actually one of my personal favorite couples camping floor plans. So maybe that explains a little bit why this is resonating with me so much. Now, another thing I do want to point out here is not just like the carpetless, ventless nature of the floor, but this SLX series is the only two-axle J-Flight that's not 6'9" tall. This is an industry standard 6.5, so it is a little bit shorter ceiling. You'll definitely see the difference that makes when I jump up into the shower here. But kind of showcasing for you all the extra little features that you still have available. Let's kick things off with all the storage. Now, there's no doors, there's no drawers to make this easy access. It's just storage. This is the stuff that you're not gonna use every day. You know what I mean? This is the sometimes storage kind of space right here. Don't forget, you actually do have an additional chunk of storage hidden under that sofa that's very easily missed. This object is actually technically called a jackknife storage sofa, although we often refer to it as a jackknife sleeper sofa because that also applies. You know what? I appreciate that they threw this extra cabinet over here. It was just being a budget-friendly camper. They could have said, well, we're trying to save a buck, so we didn't put blah, 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 and they didn't, you know. They still put something up there, although it is separate from the rest of the kitchen cabinetry, which is weird, but at least they utilized what they could where they could, you know. I also really appreciate, again, the basic daily function features, like drawers. It's insane how many bare bones budget campers just won't have any drawers. They'll do everything they can to chintz out as much as possible. The stuff you need every day, like a place for a wastebasket there under the sink, although it's a small sink, it works. Now you might notice no propane oven, a basic 2-burner cooktop, and a small sink. You know, it's a simple series kitchen. This is not a chef's kitchen where you're going to spend a long time inside cooking up, one of, Guy's Big Bites from Guy's Grocery Games or something. You know, it occurs to me, I've kind of discovered that apparently I watch a lot more Food Network than the average person. And I found that the average person does not know who these various celebrity chefs are. And for whatever reason, I got very into watching cooking competition shows. So if you don't get my goofy chef references, it's just me, I guess. But back to the task at hand. If you camp small and you need to sleep everybody, this camper actually has pretty good capacity. So manufacturers like to call sofas and dinettes like this a 2-person sleeper. There's no way. Get frickin' real. But you also have those 2 big bunks. What I want to say here is that this RV could very easily sleep a family of 6, assuming at least a couple of those kids were littles and not teenage bigs. The sofa and the dinette, not big sleepers, and for whatever reason, bunk mattresses are all standardized to be pretty much about 72 inches long. But the double bunks, you can sleep a little bit corner to corner and kind of cheat a little more size out of those. This, by the way, looks like an 8 cubic foot fridge, not a 10 like you might find in some of the other Jay Flights. It doesn't look like they shrank it because the ceiling is also a little bit shorter than some of the other Jay Flights, so you're not seeing an empty dead pocket up top here. Now again, she basic. There's no curtains here. Again, probably for airflow. Upper bunk doesn't have windows. Looks like it does have some USB plugs. If I get ourselves down here, okay, both bunks have USB plugs. Both bunks have their own lights. This, even though it's a folding mattress, it's not a folding bunk. So that's just going to be a cat litter cargo box storage center, effectively. A little detail I do appreciate, though, is how the bathroom door, come here, actually does still have a lock. Just a nice little privacy factor. Now, moving over here in the bathroom, this is basically the same bunk bathroom setup as you might find in the 260BH, the big brother to this one that has a little more front bedroom privacy. You can see how, the leg room, the whole hip, shoulder, elbow room around that was fine. This Sport Basic series, though, does not have shower surround paneling. So what you need to do when you're done showering or the kids are done showering, you or they or somebody needs to come in with a towel and wipe the walls down and then start getting some airflow moving. Now, the trick with that, and this is one of the things I really don't like and I would fix if I bought this, it does not have a power vent fan in that bathroom. And I know that's a big like, what? For some people. I hope you appreciate that. I'll go out of my way to point out little details like that. Oh God, I forgot I left the sofa and the dinette down as a sleeper. And I start Michael Jackson moonwalking backwards here, and I went hee hee and almost crashed and burned really hard. But hey, you get the idea. Anyway, so there's things about this camper I like. There's things about the camper I don't. I just try to be fair and real with you. And if you at least appreciate that, I don't know, click that little like button on the video or don't. I can't tell you what to do. And one of the other things, the basic nature of this thing's equipment package also lends it not only to the basic price tag, but lighter weights and measures. If you notice, 4,300 pounds empty with a maximum, assuming fully loaded cargo of about 6,000 pounds and the modest size on tandem axles, means that a lot of lighter duty vehicles, like some larger tow package SUVs, could maybe handle this one that wouldn't be able to handle a large number of other things. Now, I know there's going to be the, not just the Ford Ranger folks, the mid-size tow package pickup folks, but the Ford Ranger folks, let's be real. They're going to ask, hey, I've got a Ranger with the 7,000 pound tow package. Like, I can handle this, right? Man, I probably still wouldn't. Because this thing is long enough, it's going to push around a smaller vehicle with greater ease. I don't know that I would recommend that. So I hope you appreciate the candor, because I'm sure that we could sell more of these if I was unscrupulous, but I'm not going to sacrifice your family's safety just to make a quick sale. I guess that's one of the benefits of me not actually being in sales. I get the luxury of shooting you straight without jeopardizing my price tag. A price tag only if they paid me for this. Evidently, they're supposed to do that, and they haven't. I don't know. Anyway, you get the idea. My integrity, whatever. I do appreciate the nice full pass-through that we have on the front of this. And what was that? Is that? Oh, wow. That's actually inverter prep. I did not expect them to actually still include that on this. I hadn't even gotten down on my knees this far yet to look at this pass-through. I appreciate that both sides of that pass-through still have large baggage doors. Now, this is the Sport Series. This is the first tandem axle member of the Sport family of Jay Flights, the most basic level of Jay Flights. So roof solar, not the kind of thing you're going to find on here. If you look up at the tongue, there's this little silver and black thing hanging down. That's a plug for a portable solar panel, like a suitcase panel. So if you wanted to do some kind of solar functions, you could, but this is not the kind of camper that from the factory you're going to find a 2,000 watt solar package. Although there's not a whole lot going up on the roof, so if you wanted to custom DIY a solar package that probably costs as much as the camper, you probably could. And there are, again, this RV is unapologetically built for a price tag without sacrificing the structure. You know, they didn't chintz the build, they just simplified the trim package and the features. So smaller awning. Like, it's very obvious they could have gone bigger on that awning, but they didn't. There's pricing vectors there. They didn't include wheel well skirting, but frankly, that doesn't bother me. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen this, the little fender flares, the plastic fender flares on RVs, whip off in the wind or get brittle and broken by sun and rocks hitting them, you know, from the lawnmower or something. Having just the galvanized steel wheel well there, that's the thing that actually matters. I don't care about the fluff stuff like the fender skirt that isn't even a fender skirt. It's just a piece of plastic riveted to the side of the RV in a non-riveting fashion. No camp kitchen on this. You know, they just went simple and basic. They just went with storage, but I'm actually okay with that. What I'm looking for, and I don't see, is a gas grill quick connect. I'll keep an eye out. Maybe I missed one somewhere else on the RV. Here's the thing. If you're like, dude, I gotta have a place to hook my camper up, there are little adapter hoses that you can actually hook directly up to your propane bottles on the front of the RV and then hook a grill up to that. So there's still a very low budget way around this. It does still have a walkable roof, doesn't include a factory ladder. The taillights still have the reverse travel element. That's the white thing in the middle, which actually casts far more light than you would suspect. And this is an on-demand water heater right here. So if you got the whole family and we're all taking showers at night because we're heading out in the morning, it's kind of nice to not have to worry about running out of hot water while you're doing that. It is a single sewer outlet kind of camper due to the location of the kitchen and the bathroom kind of holding hands, being right next to one another. It makes it very simple to have all the sewer stuff included all in one shot. It also just occurred to me, I take this for granted on Jayco's, but at a price point like this, I don't think you should take it for granted. The window package being tinted like this, keeping the nosy neighbors and more of that sunshine out, that's not nothing. But I also just noticed something else. If I back up here a little bit. Single propane tank on a tandem axle RV. Again, it's unapologetically a symptom of the price point, but I got thinking about this. This is not an RV made for serious cold camping. It really only has that propane cooktop on the inside. It does have a propane furnace, don't get me wrong, but there's frankly not a lot on this RV to really even burn propane. And if I'm thinking about my own personal camping life and excursions, I'm a fair weather RVer and I'm a park pavement princess. I genuinely, in the last 2 or 3 years, I genuinely cannot recall a single time I've actually replaced my propane tank. I bet I still got propane up there that's 3 or 4 years ago. So again, if you're a casual camper, maybe not a big deal. I'd be kind of curious if somebody went back through this RV on the little snarko meter and how many facetious comments that I made about it. But again, you know, despite anything that I might have said, like I sound like I'm being cutting and jabby, I'd camp in this. I tell you, I would personally put my family in this camper and I'd feel fine about it. I don't need anything flashier or fancier than this. And the couple little things it doesn't do, I could probably aftermarket add on. Like I could throw a power tongue jack on this. You don't even need a tech to do that for you. I could adapt it to my personal basic camping lifestyle easily. Now, you're going to find these all over the place. Every Jayco dealer and their brother is probably going to be carrying a ton of them. And I don't blame them. It's going to be a popular model this year. So if you're curious where we have one parked and what the price tag would be, double check the links in the video description. Or if you look at this, you're like, yeah, but I need a little bit smaller or a little bit bigger still. I'll try to remember to dig you up some links to some similar things, but they kind of found an interesting place here where it's just barely tandem axle instead of going single axle. And it's not quite that 32 foot big guy. It's just this interesting little sweet spot. And it's simple, but I think that's why I like it. I'm just a simple man. Well, it sounds like a Leonard Skinner song. They should have wrote that. When you're ready, we're ready. Take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.